Okay. So this is what we did last time, right? In the classroom. Let me open up this. That's the Windows terminal program. I'm gonna make this one window. Okay. This is interesting. Why is it so slow? Okay, these are the four programs that I have worked on, and these are the four problems. This is the first one that we worked on last time in class, right? And so the second one is this. Okay, the second problem is that you're given a sentence, right? And then you got to get 5 results from that sentence. The first is to count different number of different letters. And again, it's case insensitive, right? So because the count is from 1 to 26. And if you count both uppercase, lowercase, you'll be more than that. And the number of vowels, the number of uppercase letters, that means before you do anything to the sentence, right, to the letters, count the uppercase. And so number 4 is the number of times the most frequent letter appears, because we don't know which one is the most frequent letter, right, in that sentence, which means that you have to count every single one of them, right? And again, that's case insensitive, so lowercase, uppercase doesn't matter. Number 5, the longest word in that sentence. Basically, you need to find out. And so, I've worked out these 4 programs, and so I've pushed this to GitHub, and so who tells me how do we count first different letters? How do we do that?
You can go to empty list and you can check for every letter in the sentence, and if the letter is not in the list, add it, and then after you go through the whole sentence, check the length of the list.
Okay, that's one way to do it. Any other thoughts? That's good. Any other thoughts?
Maybe you can like have every letter and use like to go through the entire list of letters and see if you find one. If it doesn't, then it does, it will add 1, and then the substitute for next letter is A, B, C,
Okay, I'm not quite sure. Is that different than his method? So basically, did it stop? Did the air conditioner stop? Sorry about that. Yeah. So basically, one way to do it is basically looping through the string, right? The sentence is basically a string, and pick out every character in there and check if it's a letter, and then count the letter, right? That's one way to do it. And any other thoughts? Okay, the last time we talked about a concept called set, right? Who can tell me what a set is?
The list that removes the
Exactly, okay. Yeah, so a set is basically, you can just put things into it, right? If you have duplicates, it'll just discount that, basically. It'll keep every unique element that you throw into it, right? That's a set. So if we just create a set of, all the letters, right? Then we can just keep throwing things into it without, having to do any work. Just put if it's a letter, throw it in there. If it's a letter, throw it in there. In the end, we can just tell, well, the set will tell us how many are in there, right? So that's one way to do it. Obviously, counting it is another way to do it, as the problem tells us to count, right? And the number of vowels, again, we can do it that way, or we can count, right? Uppercase letters, we can do the same thing. But yeah, I mean, these are just, I guess there are some repetitions of, problems in this one problem. I guess the most frequent letter appears in the sentence. That, what do we do about that?
And it starts to do the same thing and go through the whole sentence. And then if it's this letter, just add it to like a count. So if the letter's A, you just add one to it.
Yeah, how do you keep that count? Do you like have 26 counts?
What can you use a dictionary?
Dictionary, that's what it is. That's what I want. A dictionary is basically, it's a map, right? It's a map between from anything to anything else, from one object to another object in Python. So here's what I did here. Okay, and so I just called the program, the main program itself, process, right? So in this program, I did process two sentences, right? One is the one that's given in the problem. The quick brown fox named Roxanne jumped over Bruno, a lazy dog. And so I throw that sentence in there and see if my results are the same as the problem gave us, right? So that is the sentence here. And that is the sentence. And the sample output is what we expect to come out of this program. Okay. So what I did here is, let's say we create a letter set, right? And also I created a string called the vowel, right? All the vowels. I just put it in there. I can use a string. I can use a set here because this is a simple test that we need to do, right? What I did down here is if a letter is a vowel, right? If it is, then I just do increment the count by 1, right? That's counting the vowels, and also first we have a loop, right? That iterates through the sentence and pick out every single letter, every character, right? XC is the characters in that sentence. It'll just loop through the sentence and give us one by one, right? It says for, this basically says, can you read it? If not, then I can make it a little bigger.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, seems that you're struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, better, okay. So, ignore that part for now. This is the whole thing, right? From the def process, define the process as a function in Python till line 84 here. It's an empty line. Right? That whole block is a function. So we can see what I did here is this for loop just iterates through the sentence, right? Going from the letter 0 all the way to the end. So in here, I will just turn that into an uppercase letter since we're going to count stuff, in a case insensitive way, right? So once I do that, I can just say, compare that to A and Z to see if it's a letter, right? If it's not a letter, it doesn't count, right? There's nothing in the problem that says do anything with non-letters, so it's ignored. And so if it is a, okay, then we just throw it into the letter set, right? Whatever it is, letter set. And then in the end, we just print out the length of the letter set. Length of a set means, how many things are in there. Right, that's it. It's counting how many different letters are in there. The second problem, the second question they ask us to do is count vowels, right? So now count if this letter appears in that vowels string, which is A, E, I, O, U, right? Those letters in there. If it is in that, then I'm just counting it, right? That's it. And now counting upper letter also, if it is right within this, if the original letter, right? This is the original letter, XC. If it is in this A to Z range, right? Then I'm going to count it as we have an upper letter, uppercase letter. Right? And now we use the letter frequency, which is a map, right? A dictionary. Here we initialized it as an empty dictionary, right? And so if this is already in that dictionary, right, then we count it by 1, right? Increment the count by 1. If not, then we set it to 1, right? Because we got 1 letter here, right? Right. So these are the kind of questions that we are going to encounter again, right? In these contests. So we've got 4 programming problems. You see, these are not that hard, right? See, before you dive into the coding, you just need to think it through, right? If you do want to iterate through and then just count 1 by 1, obviously you can do that, but still you need to think through how you want to keep these counts, right? Like using a dictionary, using set, or using but you have to use a set, right? I guess somehow, because you need to count unique letters, right? Different letters. So you have to, keep somewhere that the stuff that you've already counted, right? In here, we just keep that in a set, right? And then we don't care what's in that set. We just need to care about how many are in there in the end. Right? That's the count. So the thing that is sort of a more advanced thing here is one is that once you counted all the letter frequencies, right, you have to find the top frequency. right? The one that showed up most frequent. But one is that you can, sort this this map, this dictionary, right? You can sort it by the frequency, or since this is a short thing, I just loop through it again, right? Loop through this letter frequency and get all the items, right? The letter and the frequency, and find out the top frequency in that whole list, right? I set the top frequency to 0, and then if that frequency of that letter is greater than my top frequency, then I just keep that, right? In the end, I find out what the top frequency is. And that's all that, the problem is asking us. One thing though is I did use, somebody suggested last time, basically breaking the sentence into words, into a list of words, and then sort the list. All right, but doing that in Python 3 is a little bit tricky, because in Python 3, you don't have the ability to supply a function to compare things. And what you need to do is to provide a function to create a key for each item. I don't know if this makes sense at all. What this is, right? We are sorting an array, right? In an array, let me find out what's the official Python array says. Basically, in an array, in a most common sense array, you basically have an array of something, right? And in this array, things are listed as from 0 to whatever, right? If you have like an array of 26 letters, then basically it is letter 0 to whatever. Yeah.
What is the difference between an array and an array?
It's a good question. A list is usually a list is a data structure concept, and usually an array is used to implement a list. Does that make sense? Because in a list, array, usually you have things stored in there from, using the index, right? Usually all these languages start from 0, right? From 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's how you store things in an array. And then when we do a list is something that you can, add to the end and find things. You can iterate through the list. I mean, those are logical concepts. Okay, but we usually use array to implement a list, because in an array you can do iteration, you can add things to the end, you can access, you can read, write things, or change things in the middle. Those type of operations are allowed, right? So we use an array to, or say we put lists into arrays. We put lists into arrays just to store them in that way, right? Because it's easier to modify and things like that. So Python array. Okay, let's just go here. 4D. Right, so usually when you do this, right, then you say cars bracket 0, you get Ford, right? 1, you get Volvo, and 2, you get BMW. That's how you store things into an array and then get them out of the array. But actually, Python does not, Python arrays do not have to be sequential. By that, I mean, you don't have to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can, in this array right now, you have 3 things, right? You can say cars 100 equals to GM or Chevy, right? You can do something like that. What that means is that you will have a sparse array, right? You don't have a fully filled in array, right? Because you have 0, 1, 2, and then 100, right? There's nothing in between. That's legal. That's legal in Python. So in that case, when you do that, let's try that, right? Python 3. Sorry. Okay, so let me see cars, right? Cars. What did it say? Just copy it. Right. Oh, sorry. All right. So you say cars. You get those cars. 0 is Ford, right? Cars 2 is BMW. And now I can say cars 100 equals Chevy. Oh, sorry. Mismatch. Oh, index out of range. Okay. So it does not allow us to do that. I'm sorry. So what we have to do here in this case is append, I guess. But that would just append it to the end. I thought we can do that. I'm wrong. So okay. So what language is it that allows us to do that? Anyway, so let me see if we can delete. Let's say delete. Delete or not delete. I think I missed. Oh, you can do that. So what that means is that I think now we have. Let's see. 2 is Chevy. Okay, so it does actually remove it. Never mind. Then I'm wrong about the array in Python. I got mixed up with whatever. So in this case, okay. So in the case of array, you can in this case, the key is actually the index, right? From 0, 1, 2, 3, normally, right? But in the sort function, this sorted function creates take an array and returns an array sorted, right, based on the key. It does a comparison of the key, right? So if the key returns the value in the array, then it does it in the sorted function, it does a comparison of the value, right? You end up sorting the array, right? The words would be sorted by the value, but what we need here is a two-way comparison, right? Because we need to, order these things by the length of the words, right? If we want to sort it, because the problem is asking us to find the longest word, right? So we have to find out the longest word. So when we do that sort, we want to sort the whole list of words first by the length, right? And then by alphabetical, order, right? So that is why here we need to create a function. This is the key function here, right? That actually returns a class, right? Returns a class. And so what that does is that this function gets returned to the sorted function. And so it actually creates an object as that key. Okay, so it actually turns the values into some kind of an object. And then in this object, it has all these comparison functions. Okay, so in this comparison function, it actually calls that my comparison function up there, right, to do the actual comparison. So in the comparison, when I get two items, right, I will compare the length first. Right. So if the length is different, I'm going to create just return the difference of the length, right? And so the comparison function would return a positive value if the first one is greater than the second one, right? It returns a negative value if the first one is smaller than the next one. So this is a little bit advanced, I guess, for you guys if you are new to Python. Does it make any sense to you guys? Okay. I see you shaking your head. If we look at this, right, we're calling the sorted function in Python. You should know about that, right? Yeah. Yeah. There's one here and then there's one over there. Sorted function takes an array, right? This is an array. Oh. Also, I use a regular expression to split the sentence. Okay, this basically takes the sentence, whatever that is, and splits it with anything that is not a letter, right? Has anybody done or learned about regular expression? Raise your hand. That's going to be a little bit tough to explain in a hurry. Regular expression is a way to do string matching with expression. And so in this case, what I have here is see the square brackets? Square brackets meaning anything in this bracket, okay? slash backslash capital W, no, it's a lowercase w, means letters, okay, A to Z, capital A to Z. And this, I don't know what you call it, this caret thing, this angle caret thing means not. Okay, so this is a set, right? Saying using anything that is not a letter, okay? One or more such character, use that as a break thing, right? As a, something to break a word. So anything else will be a word, right? So you can see, I can show you what that does. So let's see. The sentence is this, right? Okay. That's the sentence, right? So this, oh, I need to import regular expression. RE is the package, right? And then you can see RE split. That string, right? That breaks it into all the words in that sentence, right? We got an extra thing back there. I don't quite understand why, but I don't really care because that's going to be eliminated in the sort process. So you can see it breaks this whole sentence up in a list of words, right? When you guys actually learn programming, regular expression is something worth learning. Right? If you do anything about processing text and stuff like that, it's worth you learn that. So I guess yeah, I don't know when you guys encounter things like that, when you need to sort the list, right? And you will need to use these functions, and you will be, you will have the need to, supply this key, right? If let's say, if we just do a simple sort, right? So if I give this list to a variable words, right? Now you can see words are these words, right? And if we just simply do a comparison, simply provide a sorted words, it will sort these things by, by their alphabetical values, right? So actually, the uppercase letter comes before the lowercase letter in the character set, in the alphabet, computer alphabet. So these things will come before those, right? So this sorting, this simple sort doesn't do what we want, really, right? Because we can't get the, we can't find the longest out of this thing, right? So that is why, we have to provide our key function, to actually do that comparison that we want. Okay, that's what that does. Okay. I guess because we don't have a whole lot of time to spend on this today. I want you guys to, when you go home, I mean, if you want to continue learning Python, right, sorting stuff is an important technique to have. So I would encourage you guys to learn about, to do your own learning. You can go on YouTube, just search for Python sort. You'll find a lot of things to learn about this. So yeah, this problem this is one way to do it, actually. I'm giving you this this way to create a list of words and then sorting it in the order that we want. So if I run this program and also if I convert this print, right, in this print, if I do something more here, print out the whole words list, right? And if we now go run this program, okay. Why is it ACSL? Okay, if I run this program, right? This is C2, I think. Yeah. As you can see, that this is how that is sorted now, right? In my sorted function. So it's going to be the length first, and then by their alphabetical order, right? And the next one is I created this sentence specifically to have multiple strings, multiple words in there. That's not a word, but you know what I mean, right? It's a made-up thing to show you that if we have multiple words that are the same length, right? That's one of the things that the question asks us. You need to print out the one that's first in alphabetical order. Right, so there you have it. The other way to do this counting, find out the longest word thing is obviously when you can scan through the sentence and then literally mark it, right? This is the beginning of a word, right? And then you count, as you encounter letters, you count that, the length of that, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth character is not a word, is not a letter anymore. So there is one word that's length of 4, right? And then you record that, right? You put that into a list, right? Into you can say, this is my first word. It starts at 0, ends at 5, right? And then you go through it again. So you continue through the list, through the sentence, right? And you do it that way. Right? And then you have a list of words that starts and starts and start ends, right? And then you sort that, or you go through that, you find out the longest, right? And then you have to find out which one is the alphabetical, the first in its alphabetical order. Right? That's another way to do it. It's simpler in using the language or language features, but But you have to, you know, you have to be more creative, right? I guess, you know, you have to implement all those details, right? In counting letters in a word, marking the end and the beginning and all that stuff, right? And in the end, you still have to figure out, you know, the alphabetical order type of thing. That's the second problem. And the third problem is this is the ABC game. All right. So you have this is the problem description, right? You have a grid that is 3 by 3. Okay. So you put ABC in there. The end result is that each letter shows up in each row and each column only once. This is sort of like Sudoku, right?
It is Sudoku.
Yeah, but it's simpler because it's only got 9 spots, right? Sudoku is 0 to 9, right? You have 0 to 9, 0 to 9, and 0 to 9 in each. 1 to 9. So it's sort of like Sudoku, but much simpler. So what this is, now this gives you these positions, right? So each data input is, say, this one has 3 spots already filled, right? So with this, the input would be 3, right? It tells you you got 3 spots already filled, and then the filled ones is 1A, right? 1A, and 3C, and then 8A. This first one is exactly this, right? And then you're supposed to, you know, write a program to fill up the next, I mean the rest, right? All the rest empty spots. Okay, so here is sort of like a little strategy game, right? So how do you do this? How do you go about doing this? Is the first question, right? Before you actually write the code. Let's say you have this, all right? How do you go about doing this?
So you want us to solve this.
Speak louder.
So you want us to solve this. You want us to solve the
Right,
the grid.
right. Not just to solve it in a way that you can put it into code, right? That's the, you know, essence here. You have to be able to write the code to do it. I know you can do it. Right? You have to tell the computer how to do it. That's the.
No.
Let me get a drink of water. So that is the question, right? Obviously, you can, you know, iterate through the grid, right? You have, basically, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 to 9, right? And then you have to figure out, do I put A here? Right? Or do I put B there? Do I put C there? All right, you know, in this game, you only have 3, so that It's not too bad. Oh, one thing is you can try this, right? You go there and you have to figure out, you know, you can try, right? So do I put A here? I can try A here. You put A there, I mean, you can see it. It's not okay, right? Because A is already there in this row, right? But the computer really, it doesn't know that is an A. So how do you have to then find out each row and each column, right? You have to be able to say, I'm here, now I'm gonna find out what's in this row and what is in this column. Right? So that is really the problem. So think about that. If you right, one thing, let me see. Once you are here, right, anywhere, let me see if you are here, right, if you're in the middle here, right, which is 5, right. Actually, to me, in my program, I would, because it's easier to start with 0, right? If you have an array, right, of 9 cells, 9 cells for this grid, right? It's easier to count, do the indexing from 0 to 8, right? That's also 9 things. And so let's say if you are here, right, then you're in spot 4, right, in 4. And how do you figure out what's in the same row and what is in the same column? Any thoughts on that?
Just do this and then just say that it's with a map and
Yeah, I mean, you can, because it's simple, right? It's only 9 spots.
Yeah, can you just do this for all of them?
You can literally just list every single one of them. Right?
Yeah, so in this case, it's not, you just move on to the next row and you just do them all 6. And then if it's still not filled out, it just restarts until it's filled out.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think you might be able to do that, but it's really, really, go ahead. It's very cumbersome, I would say.
The idea is to like create 3 arrays, each for A and B and C, and for each one, and then like, out of 1 to 5, 9, or 0 to 8, which one of those cannot be effective? We can easily do that because we can it's really easy. And then we just through every empty tile and then see which thing can be. If there's anything, for example, Q in the Q, have Q in the picture. So we can just reduce that. It wasn't. Let me tell.
So you create 3 arrays.
Yeah.
So you get 3 this grid, right? You're saying.
And three arrays of 3 arrays of true or false. One would be and basically list which one which array is like into a letter A, B, and C. If it is one of them is cannot be A, for example, the person in the example data. The test element cannot be A or C. So therefore,
Right. Let's say you have another array. How do you know that this cannot be A? Right, that's the sense of the.
well, I mean, we can use the A already existing A for every A, for everything, everyone existing.
Right, but the thing is,
The left
in this one, you have an A here.
Yeah.
But you have to generalize this, right? So that, what if this is a B actually?
B, then this the result is goes to the B error.
Okay, let me see if I could. Let me start a. Okay, let's go to here, right? So let's say if you have a table of 3 by 3, right? So you have a little too. Right. Make it into a different page. Right. So this is what we have. Make it bigger. So you have make a copy of this thing. So you're saying this, right? So let's say you have A here, right? What do we have? Do you have a solution? Where is that? So my solution, if I give you a hint, is so this is A and this is C, right? That's that example. So how do you suggest that we do this?
Basically, everything that these arrays are choices block that cannot be.
Okay, so give me the array. Let's say the array is.
So I want to change the array to first of all, none of the stuff that already have a letter cannot be another letter, right? So these ones are
True. So A, this, well, I'll just use that to mark an empty spot, right? C, that's what we. So that is what we have here. Right.
okay, so basically what I'm doing is that first of all, every one is the left slot that cannot be A, for example. This is the slot is 0, and this slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once the slot cannot be A, so for this slot cannot be A because they already have letters. Right?
Oh, okay. So you're saying that
I kind of saying like,
you're marking that. So the A array is, it's already here, so it cannot be here, cannot be here. Is that what you're doing?
yeah. And then we can add the other empty slot that cannot be A. It's a circle, so I can like, for example, this A right here, the A on slot 1. The slot before it, all the slots that are like in the line of it cannot be A. That's not how it works. So that means.
Right. How do you figure that though?
Well, all the slots, the right and the left of it are, for example.
Right. What is to the right and to the left? So let's say this one has 8, right?
Yeah.
So what is to the right or to the left?
To the right is the +1.
Okay. What is the A is here?
If A is here to the 1 is +1, but then there's nothing there, so it's not. It's not a valid slot. 9
Okay.
+1 is big and
It's not just that, right? If you have an A here, then this cannot be 8, this cannot be 8, right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is actually the same row you're worried about. You should be worried about, and the same column that you should be worried
Yeah.
about, right? It's not just the upper down or left or right. Right? It's the whole.
Well,
It is the whole row and the whole column.
well, if you were to solve the row to the left, to the 2, for example, 2 letters, 2 slots to the right, then you +2. 2 slots to the left is -2.
True, but yeah, that's on the right track, I think.
Column, like you can do this +1, +3, or -3, right?
Right. So actually, the way I do it is like you say, it's I will just add 1, right? So if I'm at any spot, I'll just say add 1, right? It's the next one, and also the next one. If this next one is greater, went out of this row, then I'm gonna loop back over here, right? The way that I do that is by doing the, if, let me show you what I did, I guess. In code might be a little easier. So I'm gonna just do this, right? I'm gonna loop through this grid. This grid thing is 3 by 3, right? So I'm gonna loop through this grid. And wherever I am, initially I initialize the grid to be, I just fill it up with all zeros, and it's just easier to work with. So if that cell is 0, that means it doesn't have a letter yet. Okay. Then I'm gonna go to figure out what the next in this row is, right? R1 and R2. So I'm just gonna say R1 is I plus 1, R2 is I plus 2. Okay. And the row is the end of row, right? So the first row is actually 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. And the second row is 4, 5, 6, right? And the third row is 9. So this sentence is basically saying that if I'm in the first row, if I is less than 3, if you don't want to be here, you can walk out. I have no problem with that. Okay, just walk out. If you want to be here, I want you to participate in the class rather than fighting with each other or whatever. How's that? You can walk out, literally. I would have no issue with that, okay? So this is what I'm doing, right? So I'm figuring out what the end of this row is, the current row is, right? So if I is 0, 1, 2, right? Then the end of the row is 3. And if I is not 0, 1, 2, but it's less than 6, then it's 3, 4, 5, right? Then the end of the row is 6. Otherwise, the end of row is 9, right? So I'm figuring out what the end of row is. So while I'm in this row, I, and then the next in the row is R1, is going to be I plus 1. And the next one is I plus 2, right? I'm just, these are simple brutal force math, right? So, but if I'm, running off the end of this row, then I'm going to subtract it by 3, right? I'm going back to the beginning of this row, right? This is just figuring out what this whole row is, right? So the whole row would be I, R1, and R2. 3 cells, right? And the columns are, plus 3, plus 6, right? I'm going to just count downward, right? So the next one is plus 3, right? If I show you so if I'm here, this is 0, 1, right? The next one is 4, and the next one is 7, right? So I'm going to 0 to 8, right? So 0, 1, 2. So the end of it is 3, right? And 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 6, 7, 8. The end is 9, right? So I'm just figuring out what this row is and what this column is. And so so basically this is figuring out that R1, R2 is the other 2 cells in the same row, right? And the C1, C2 is the other 2 cells in the same column, right? And once I do that, then again, I build this set. Okay. I'm going to just throw it in there, whatever is in those cells, whatever they are. It could be 0, right? It could be an empty one. So if there's anything, right, then there's A, B, or C, or something's going to make up this set. Okay. Once I have this set, then I can use the full set, which is A, B, and C, get the difference, right? And if this difference only has one letter in it, that means I can use that letter and put it in my current spot, right? So wherever I am, I'm just going to figure out what is surrounding me, right? What's up, what's down, what's left, what's right, right? And I'm just going to put it into this set, whatever they are. I don't care, right? And whatever is left from that set, I'm going to find out, right? If whatever is left is only one letter, that means I can put that one letter thing into the current spot, and that's it. And initially, I do a count of empty cells, right? Because the input gave me has a the input is something like this, right? So the first thing in there is the number of spots that's already filled in. So I got I got the 9 minus that, so is the remaining cells that I have to fill in. So whenever I still have anything remaining, I'm just going to loop through this. Right? I'm going to repeat this process until I filled up every single one of them. Right? So you need to think about this in a way that makes it an algorithm. Right? An algorithm is basically you basically have a number of steps that you go through. It doesn't matter whatever data you're given. That's the essence, right? You don't you can't say I have an A here and then I think about something. In this algorithm, it really doesn't care what's in each spot. Okay. I think you probably have some other way to do it. Basically, you still need to figure out what is in your row, right? In this row, you can, because you can, like in this case, right? You can still loop through this whole grid, right, from 0 to 8. And once you're here, you find out that this cell is empty. You need to either try, you put A here, then you figure out, no, I can't do A. And then if I put B here, that seemed to be okay, right? And then you go to the next cell and you try that. And at some point, there are cases where you're only given 2 spots, right? Like this one. So 1C and 5B. So 1C, 5B. Is that right? This one, yeah. You got 2 spots, 1C and 5B. So 1C is this is C, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is B. So this is still okay, I think. And another one, which is yeah, the next one is 3B and 7A. So 3B, it's B and 7A. Is that? Yeah. So when you're here, I think there's actually another one that's even more. Yes, this one that is 7A and 6C, right? 7A and 6C. 7, right? 7A and 6C, right? This is, so this is okay, and then this is C. Right? So in this case, like if you try the first one, right? You have 2 choices, right? You can do B or C, right? Until you hit a later point that you figure out, no, this may or may not be, you may or may not be able to put B here, right? Does that make sense? Right. So the algorithm that I have really don't care, right? When I'm here, I come up with a set of 2, right? I can either have B or C here, right? Based on that algorithm. Then I just give up, right? I go to the next, I go to the next. Go to until I hit a point where I can't figure out, right? When I hit this spot, then I can figure out, right? This has to be a B, right? Then I come back to this grid and go through the whole thing again. Right. So so this is one type of problem that, you know, like a small game type of thing that you might encounter. And I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of so this is number 3, and then this is number 4. Problem number 4. All right. This is also slightly similar to number 3, but again a little bit different, right? Here, you're trying to find out. You're given again sort of like a sentence, right? But then it asks you, it gives you a number in front of it, and then it asks you to find out, because you're filling up this array, and you're shifting things as you go along. Right, the end result is that this array contains a sorted list of all the letters given to you. Right, so like with computer, first letter is C, right? But initially this whole thing is empty, and you have C, and O you added after C, right? And then M, you have to insert it between C and O, right? But it's asking you to find out what letter has, showed up at that spot, okay? This is number 2, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 9. So as you go along, right, as you go along those strings, you have to remember, if it's a different letter that you have encountered. This shouldn't be too difficult, but really it's just a matter of figuring out how you do it, right? So again, I have a letter set. I have a letters array to do that array thing, and the letter set, which is to put everything that has ever showed up at that spot, right? That the question is asking you. So the input is you've got an input that start with a number, right? So I'm just going to take that whole thing and as input, and then in here I break it up into a number and a string, break it up, right? And then you loop through that string. Okay, so loop is one essential concept, right, in all programming languages, and also in Python in particular, that you have to know about, like looping. When you loop through a string, you're getting each individual letter in that string, right? And you can also loop through an array, right? When you loop through an array, you get each individual value, right, in the array. And you can also loop through a dictionary. When you loop through a dictionary, which we did in one of the programs, I think, Have we not? No, it didn't. Um, hmm. Okay, when you loop, oh, here, actually. Yeah, this is a dictionary, right? A dictionary with letters and frequency. So when you loop through a dictionary, you actually get you loop through the items in that dictionary. You have to use this items function, right, to break that dictionary into the list of items, actually, or an array of items. And each item is, the first is the key, right? And then the second is the value in that dictionary. So that's how you loop through things in Python. Okay, so these are essential techniques. Sorry, here. So in here, we basically loop through that string, and then again, I think we need to do this again. I think it's because it's case sensitive, case insensitive in this whole thing, right? When it counts different letters, I think. Yeah, the letter set, or maybe not. Well, anyway, so right, so we have to, sometimes we have to append to this array of letters, and sometimes we have to insert, right? When we insert, we have to, slice it, shift things around, right? Shift things to the right. So if we have to, insert things into the middle, we have to do this shift first, right? So that's pretty much it. And then we use the set to do that counting, right? In the end, we just print out how many letters are in this set. So I think the programming problems are, one, yeah. Go ahead. So programming problems, we have looping, right, and string processing, and strategy game type of problems, right? So these are the main things that will show up in the programming problems. And again, the format is, as I think you should remember, right? You have 72 hours to finish the code. And with Python, obviously, you can, always test your code as you write it. So that's pretty much it. No, I'm just, in the beginning of the class, I said we're going to use Python, so that's what I did. What else?
You're not required to.
No. What other language do you guys want to? Do you need to go over a little bit? Okay. Python is easier because I think you can always learn from you can always learn by doing, right? Is what I'm showing you guys. So you can always, you know, you got 72 hours to finish the problem, so you can actually, I believe you can Google things and you can, you know, figure them out. And then with Python, you can always try it. And you know, like sorting stuff, right? If you need some specific way to sort something, sort a list, and you can always, you know, try to Google that and then put it in here and see if that, you know, comes out with the result that you expect. That makes sense? Right. Should have turned that on. This is our last class. I don't know. Yeah. If you have any, you know, question or anything, our chat group is still there, right? I'm not going to monitor that every day, but so just say if you have questions, we can still talk about that. Or as I say, you can just, you know, learn by yourself, learn on your own, and these are tools that you can. As I said, I recommend that, you know, Python with Visual Studio Code, that you can always, you know, try it, right? Those tools are, you know, you can just download them. Any questions? Anything? Okay, 5 more minutes. If you want to go with your parents, that'll be fine. Otherwise, I'm here. If you have any questions. Yeah. Regarding the contests, you can just again talk to your parents about, you know, participating in the contest. We will organize that. Have a good new year, I guess. The school starting. Yeah.